Welcome in to the Paul Kuharsky podcast. I'm Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com. Little under the weather, but fighting through it before I get on my flight to Denver tomorrow morning for the Titans season opener against the Broncos. Going to be a big one. A lot of curiosity about how this team's going to look in its first game against a very tough opponent. I'm brought to you by Edley's Barbecue. I wish I was at Edley's Barbecue right now. This week, unfortunately, didn't allow for me to get to Edley's. I wish I was there. I will be there next week, God willing. Also brought to you by VIP Play, the best place to bet. I'll give you some bets that I would be making this week, that I probably will be making this week at VIP Play, the place to bet. We will talk about both our fine sponsors as we get into this. Good to see you guys dropping in. Trevor, Will, Adam, C. Vineyard. We're going to talk about all the Titans tests that they faced this week. Ward and the offensive line under fire. Can the pass rush produce? The prove it mentality that this team has right now. All of your questions. We've got some sound bites, some clips. Cam on how sound the Broncos are. Callahan on prove it, and prove it. Draymond Jones on the attitude the pass rush has to bring. Condre Diggs on the mystery that he provides to the defense coming forward. He's going to play, we are told. Where and when? We know where. He's a safety, maybe a nickel linebacker, but it's going to be interesting to see how they deploy him. He's a good player, for sure, a good player. But who's he taking time away from? It's going to be interesting to see. Robert Studdard jumping in with Jalen Carter. What a terrible look. Now there's some Zapruder film that maybe quarterback spit first. But, not as aggressively. Is Snead playing? Yes. We just talked to L'Jarius Snead. Didn't give any unpredictable sound bites. Very short and snippy, but not unwilling. Anxious to prove himself, not to us in the media, not to you as fans, but to his teammates. Wants to show them that he's the guy that has been advertised. But we put out the designations that Brian Callahan shared with us after practice. Dan Moore won't have a designation. He will play. Winston is doubtful. I expect he won't play. Snead and Mullings, both who had some limitations on their practice this week, are questionable, and I expect that they both will play. So a healthy Titans team. Lloyd Cushenberry is going to play and has no restrictions on him, no snap counts or anything like that. An impressive recovery. Kevin Winston, what's the deal? John Gall asks. He's recovering from an ACL. He pushed it a little hard. We had a hamstring issue pop up related to that rehab. And didn't tell them soon enough. And now they're going to be super, super careful with him, as they should be. And also because they've got the depth that they've got with Condre Diggs, they're not eager. Who will get the most second-string running back reps? I think Julius Chestnut will get the most second-string running back reps by a good distance. I think Mullings will be strictly, in my opinion, this is opinion, will get purely short yardage, goal line type carries. I'm fine with that. I don't think he could be put on the field for any plays where he might be expected to have to pass protect. Hasn't proven himself in pass protection yet. Tall Texan said Dak did what he's supposed to do, instigate idiots into kicking themselves out. He certainly did that, and it was certainly really stupid. Would Diggs be a candidate to play the second inside linebacker spot on passing downs? In certain packages, yeah, I certainly think he would, and that's where I think a lot of us picture Winston ultimately. It depends on how they view the matchups with Denver's running backs and tight ends. And if they think his speed is better and his wiles are better, certainly his wiles are better than Cedric Gray and James Williams, then I think you could certainly see that. Let's go straight to talk to him, Diggs, about being kind of an X factor, nobody knowing what he's going to do. And here's what he had to say about that.
I don't know. We'll see on Sunday. We'll see how it play out. You know what I mean? I've been playing for
He's not better than Carson Beck.
I just go and do what I'm supposed to do. Do my job.
And y'all not going. I don't know why
Kind
y'all
of cool to be a mystery wrinkle. Nobody outside has any idea how you're going to be deployed. So a lot of people are pretty curious.
I guess we'll see Sunday. You know what I mean? It's going to be interesting to see. So let's see how it shake out, and we'll go from there. And then we talk after the game.
Okay. And we'll definitely talk after the game when we see what he does, if it's anything of substance and anything that influences the game. I certainly would expect it. The way Denard Wilson talked about it, he's definitely going to play. I would think he would be a factor in this game, and I'm curious to see how it plays out, who it takes snaps away from, and what it means. Who will make the biggest year 2 leap on this team? I mean, you got to start at the top. You would hope that it's Latham, right? You would hope that it is Latham. John Gall thinks that Condre Diggs seems frustrated there. Maybe he is, but I mean, he signed with a team that had 2 starting safeties. So if he thinks he should be playing ahead of Xavier Woods, he should have known what he was getting into. And I don't think he had. He said he had other opportunities. None of them became public. So I don't know who's the worst interview on this team. Coaches included. Maybe I got a little proximity bias right now. T'Vondre Sweat has absolutely nothing to say. He's not the worst on the team, but he's among the worst on the team. What's my confidence level in DK at punt return? Like he's got a fresh slate. I mean, I think he'll catch the ball. Catching the ball is a major victory for punt returners on the Tennessee Titans. So in that regard, I'm pretty confident in him being, top half of the league quality returner. No, not high. Titans are going to surprise the NFL, Will 10 says. Joshua Baker, now I wrote about this week, and you should be reading this at paulkuharsky.com. Interested to see how Denver decides to handle Ridley as the real only offensive threat. So now they travel Surtain sometimes with the best receiver. Other philosophy is, you double the best receiver and you leave your best cornerback to deal with the second most threatening wide receiver. I don't know who the Broncos would identify as that. That would be quite an assignment for Alec Eilmaner to draw in his first NFL game. Tyler Lockett's not going to be on the field all the time as the nickel. But Lockett's the one who I asked about that, and he said, he travels a lot. So I would think Surtain would be on Ridley most of the time in this game. And this is a big concern of mine with the Titans. If a team looks at the Titans and says, we need to take away their most dangerous, deadly, potentially a guy that could hurt us the most, it's clearly Calvin Ridley. If you take him away, what happens next? There's no B guy. It's a committee kind of thing. And, let the routes dictate it is kind of what Tyler Lockett said. And Callahan said, much to his credit, he said, that's my job to still find a way to get the ball to Ridley, even if they're dedicating their resources to taking him away. That if they're that determined to take him away. So you like to hear the play caller talk that way. And Cam said the same thing. It's not going to be that easy to take away Ridley. He's that good. So you'd like to hear that kind of talk from the quarterback, from the coordinator / head coach. And we'll see. The Titans think they have good weaponry. They certainly better weaponry than they've had, but it's not great who they have beyond Calvin Ridley, obviously. Eilmaner, Lockett, Jefferson, Chim, Oliver, and then the tight ends. Gunnar Helm's going to make some plays. Is he going to be a volume receiver right out of the gate? I would doubt it. Chig, kind of guy that could have a big game here and there. Is he going to have big games on a regular basis? I doubt it. And really, the one thing that we haven't talked about with the frequency, thought I brought a bottle of water up here. I did not. One thing we haven't talked about with the frequency that we should, and the one point of emphasis I wanted to make here, Titans are going to look to run heavy, right? Callahan is not going to get himself fired by asking his rookie quarterback to do too much. And that's the fastest way for him to get himself in the kind of trouble that Cam doesn't want to see him get into, and that his staff doesn't want to see him get into, and that people that are on his side don't want to see him get into. The key to this game for the Titans, if the defense can keep them in the game, is Tony Pollard and the offensive line. And you'd much rather have Ward throw the ball 17 to 22 times than 35 to 29 times. If they could keep his attempts down, that means they're in the game, and that means that Pollard is kind of the controller of the offense. And that's kind of the old school Titans approach. Run the ball, control your end of the game with running the ball. Pass, I don't want to say out of necessity, but make the passing game supplementary to the degree that you can. Pick your spots, take your shots, all of that stuff, but do it with Pollard featured. And, unfortunately, second guy there is Chestnut and not Spears, and you'd much rather it be Spears. What are the chances, Jeremy asks, that we see Cam with some RPO type plays in Denver? The offense during the preseason looked like basic vanilla plays we would expect. Callie told us that he was going to build the offense around the kind of things Cam has familiarity or comfort with at Miami. I think we'll see them do things he did well at Miami. I think our RPOs are in the thing, but I think a lot of people expect too much Cam in the run game. I mean, you look at Cam's run stats from Miami. Cam is not a runner per se. And so I wouldn't look for too much there. Do I expect a rotation at inside linebacker 2 or Gray to dominate the snaps? I expect Gray to dominate the snaps. He's won the job. I think he will be on the field for the majority of the snaps. Let's retweet on Twitter if we're able. And if you're watching on YouTube, give a thumbs up. Subscribe there. That helps everything. If you're not a member of paulkuharsky.com, now is really the time to join. Things are getting ramped up. Braden Gall's got a piece up today already on what to look for in this college football weekend, what we saw from last week that has bearing already, yes, on what the Titans could do come spring. Draft's a year-round deal. Blake Bedingfield to have his review on Monday of from a scouting perspective what the Titans did, and then Wednesday you get a double dose. Drew Beatty with the film review what the Titans did. Mike Herndon with the column, probably from an analytics point of view on something that struck him out of what the Titans did at Denver. All of that, all of me, for the price of a fancy cocktail or a big cup of coffee, for less than the price of those things, at paulkuharsky.com. Never a better time than this is to subscribe, to become a member, than right at the beginning of the regular season. Come join us. Didn't this happen last year when they said we had 3 safeties that would play, and then we cut one a few weeks into the season? Somebody's going to have to remind me there. I mean, it was Hooker and Diggs on opening day. Adam does not like Nick Holtz. Interviews with our OC always annoy me. He says the most words without actually saying anything or anyone I can remember. I think Nick Holtz is a pretty informative guy. John Gall says, it seems they are more competent in special teams, even though it doesn't seem like they focused on the roster on that a lot. Well, the guy they claimed from the Vikings, the inside linebacker, it's not pronounced Maoisi. He's a special teamer that Brian Callahan just indicated to us is going to play a lot. I think the back end of the roster is not great, but I think it's better than the back end of the roster from last year. And I think they did pay more attention to special teams than they did last year. And I think they've got a coach and a GM who are conscious of these things when they didn't have those last year. So I disagree that the focus is not better. I think the focus is absolutely better. Adam doesn't agree with Cam that Ridley's top 5. Nobody agrees that Ridley's top 5. Calvin Ridley's not a top 5 receiver in the league. But you do think he's good enough that no matter what Denver does, he will catch some balls. This is to be determined. Pollard is probably the number 2 target in the passing game. Yes, it could turn out that way based on the Titans playing conservative and safe and completion heavy kind of passing game. I think most people would be disappointed in that. I think that might tend to be more the case if Spears was around to take a little of the load off of Pollard. I think he's going to have such a share of the carries. I'm not sure, but I think it's certainly a possibility, Nick. With the rules almost exclusively tailored to helping the offense, Ridley should win his share. I mean, good cornerbacks shut down good receivers. I'm not saying he's not going to, if he had 5 for 70 something, who do you consider having won that day? Decent amount of talk about locker room placement on Robbie and Rexroad this week. I was behind that. I'm interested where they put Darren Bates' locker, and will the locker room be able to hear his music? Darren Bates' locker is pretty much occupied by, Jerry Sneed is kind of in that area. Simmons took heat about his inaccurate comment about Knicks's first read. I missed this. Is that nothing, or combined with Key saying they don't have to worry about May being mobile, indicative of not being prepared? I'm having trouble putting that all together. So I'm going to pass on that, man. Going with Ridley with 8 catches. So people are going to make predictions now. TJ, get Paul a water bottle. TJ is not really in the mix anymore. TJ is now a fine participant, contributor to A to Z. Love the guy, miss the guy, and if he were still here, he would not be equipped to give me a water bottle. But it would be great if I could, like in the old days, say, "Water bottle, please." Robert Draper, good to see you. Callahan emphasized this week how he loves the way the Titans have prepared. Is that just something coaches say, or do the Titans seem to me to be better prepared than in previous openers? I can't tell you how well prepared the Titans are for this game. I think the way you find out how well a team is prepared is how they look in the game. I mean, I wasn't here yesterday. You get to see, because of how my voice sounds. Today, we get to see them stretch. Stretching tells us nothing about how prepared they are. And what we get to see is a stretch period, a ball protection, an extraction period, and a individual period where the positions work amongst themselves. It does nothing really to give us any indication of their preparedness. If you try to read into the vibe of the locker room or the tone of the locker room or how guys are talking in the locker room and say that you get some feeling of how well they are prepared for a game out of that, I think it's foolhardy. And so all I can tell you is I think we'll get a sense of how well prepared they are by what we see on the field. And they could be very well prepared and lose big. And it's conceivable they could be poorly prepared and get a couple bounces and come out better than they deserve. So there's a big non-answer for you. Robert says Denver's a good team. It would be a big test for Cam and his opener. That is absolutely true. Let's listen to what Cam had to say about Denver?
They're very sound. They're not going to beat themselves. It's a very good defense. They do a lot of different things up front and coverage wise that you got to be ready for. But at the end of the day, we got to make plays in the run game. I got to put the ball in the players in my playmakers' hands. Let those guys make plays for us.
Complimentary. He also said, they're going to have their hands full, and we're going to have our hands full. So, not giving up anything, and you don't give up anything heading into a game. These guys are trained not to doubt going in. And if they have any doubt, they're certainly not going to reveal that they have any doubt. But you can't have doubt. That's not how the NFL functions. You go in there expecting to play well, expecting to for your stuff to work, your best stuff to work against their best stuff. And if you felt anything differently, that would be very bad sign and very unhealthy. So I think things will be different. Hey, I am considering what time to have this podcast during the week. The Titans schedule combined now with my Titans schedule makes it a little different. So I have 3 different windows I could do it in. I could do it Wednesday evenings, which is not my preference, but is probably a good time slot. That would give us 3 pieces of content on Wednesdays. That would be Drew Beatty's film review. That would be Mike Herndon's column. And then that would be this podcast. That would be a really loaded Wednesday. I'd really push the podcast for people who haven't watched it or listened to it live. I'd push it Thursday as the main piece of content. I could do it Thursday mornings around 10 or 10:30, right on the heels of Braden Gall and Nick Suss and their edition of a football show, which would go 9 to 10. Or I could do it Friday afternoons around this time, probably starting more like right now at 1:30, which I don't love because I'd like to be closer to the end of my week. And the audience draw right now live is not as good as it is at other times. But I'm going to try to send out a survey to the people who the members who get a text reminder. And if you want to vote in the comments here, I'll go back and tabulate that. Or if somebody wants to be a hero and tabulate that. So Wednesday evenings, like 7 o'clock, Thursdays at like 10:30 a.m., 10 or 10:30 a.m., or Friday afternoon at like 1:30. What would you guys prefer out of that? I'd be interested in your feedback. So I welcome that. Let me tell you about our great friends at Edley's. Will Newman is a great human. Will Newman is a great human. It's a nice, catchy phrase. Edley's is a small business, a mom and pop barbecue shop. A lot of rhyming going on here, but it's not about the rhymes. It's about the food. The food is so good. I'm missing smelling it. I might not be able to smell it if I was at Edley's right now. They don't cut corners. They make their side dishes from scratch. They're as welcoming to anybody that walks in the door as they are to their own family. Will name the restaurant after his grandfather, and he's operating it as a tribute to all things Southern since he opened the door. They love Nashville-style barbecue. It's a relatively new approach to standard barbecue, and it's a flavor that the city's adopted with Nashville hot chicken. They use cayenne and Spanish smoked paprika and dry rub and finish with a habanero barbecue sauce, which uses red habaneros that they ferment for 2 weeks. Then they add the fermented peppers to their famous sweet barbecue sauce, and that gives them the smoky, spicy, sweet flavor that Nashville loves. That's Nashville barbecue. You need to go to Edley's. I'm now broadcasting a lot at 12 South. I've been in East Nashville. I've been in Franklin, which is my home base over near Berry Farms. You can't go wrong. They've got 8 or 9 locations in and around Nashville. It is delicious food and delicious food, great hospitality, very reasonable prices, amazing portions. I can't urge you enough to take a business lunch there, take the family there for lunch or dinner, make an appointment to go there for lunch this weekend and catch some college football on the TVs. The drinks are also delicious. Edley's Barbecue, they're great to me. They'll be great to you. It's a great partnership I have with them. Can't encourage you enough to check out Edley's. Head there, have a great meal, and it's well worth your while. Thank you for your consideration. The third safety last year, Audrey reminds me, is Jamal Adams, and the whole situation didn't work out. Yeah, he didn't play at all, and they couldn't figure out what to do with him. Now, Condre Diggs is much more equipped to contribute than Jamal Adams was last year. Thank you for reminding me, Audrey. Diggs is much more equipped to help than Adams was. But how easily can you rotate him in? I wouldn't have any problem with Diggs playing as one of those inside linebackers in place of Gray or Williams, given the right circumstances. The thing is that once Winston is healthy and ready to go, you'd rather have the young, hungry Winston, I think. Excuse me, ahead of Diggs, in which case Diggs is really the fourth safety, not the third safety. And the fourth safety, it's hard to get on the field. And so I don't know what you do then with Diggs. And I don't know how happy Diggs is with his role. And I don't know that Diggs gets a better role somewhere else. And so you leave yourself potentially with some trouble there. Adam said he will be home the week before Thanksgiving and taking the better half to Edley's for a date night, which is outstanding. Barton asks, how much do I think the addition of his namesake, Cody Barton, has raised the floor of this linebacker room, and how much impact has he had on the development of Gray and Williams? Well, the top guy doesn't raise the floor of the room. The bottom guy raises the floor of the room. And I'm optimistic about Barton, but a year ago we were optimistic about Kenneth Murray, and we saw Kenneth Murray was not very good. And we saw Kenneth Murray last night play for Dallas, and he was not very good. Cody Barton's got to be better than Kenneth Murray. I think he will be better than Kenneth Murray. But Cody Barton had some trouble covering the pass last year. Now, he takes that as a challenge, and he tends to be far better this year than he was last year. We need to see it. We need to see it. We need to prove it. I think he should be the best inside linebacker they've had since the best we saw of David Long, Jayon Brown. Should be better than that. And that can be pretty good on a team that does not prioritize the position. So I will take that. Friday or Wednesday, Lee Jordan is saying for the podcast choice. Not much feedback. Ethan Jordan likes my sex appeal to it. Yes, I am sick. Barton likes the Friday show because he thinks it's the closest you can get to Sunday in terms of the information. A lot of people voting Friday. Ethan is asking if Stillman and I are now co-workers. Like, my podcast is produced by 440, and I do a podcast with Braden on 440. But 440 is not my employer. My employers are paulkuharsky.com, and I happen to be Paul Kuharsky, so I work for myself. And now Belmont University, as I'm an adjunct professor for Belmont University. So I think Braden Gall would very comfortably tell you that I don't work for Braden Gall. And I think Jared Stillman would tell you he doesn't work for Braden Gall. So it's a cute storyline that doesn't really exist. Yes, I should have mentioned that the podcast from the press box, not this immediate reaction podcast that you're going to get from some people who go on the air the minute the game is over and rant and complain or rejoice over what they just saw unfold, but a considered reaction podcast with you guys after having been in the locker room, after having sat down and written something that has considered what unfolded, after looking at the box score and considering everything. That podcast will take place from the press box, sponsored by Edley's and VIP Play. That will continue. And so Sunday, after the game and after I've been to the locker room, talked to people, and after I've written So when you see me post my story and it comes up on Twitter, I'm probably 15 minutes, 20 minutes away. And I'll give you a warning on social media. That's coming. And then those of you, if you're a member of paulkuharsky.com, you've got a pipeline to get a text. I'll send that text out. So it's another reason to be a member of paulkuharsky.com. Robert Draper supports whichever time slot is likeliest to send traffic to my website. I do not know which time slot that is. Yeah, Ed Henry giving me more context. Simmons said they need to focus on taking away Nix's first read when he led the league last year, throwing to his second or third read. Yeah, that's disappointing. Sounds like something Simmons would say. Last year, Key was inaccurate about Drake May's mobility. I mean, I think that's Key being Key. I wouldn't be that concerned about Key saying that. The Simmons thing is kind of a typical thing. Injury report comes out. There's an injury report every day. The designations for the injury report come out on Friday. And so, like, before I came up here, Brian Callahan gave us the designations: questionable, doubtful, playing. So I had those before I started to do this. Cam seems more mature than Levis was last year, correct? I mean, I think so, but I mean, I think it's more of a personality thing. And I do think, Levis's football maturity was lacking in terms of his decision making. But was he an immature professional? I don't know that he was an immature professional. I think Levis carried himself professionally. He made bad decisions in some key moments that were very unfortunate, for sure. Go back to that injury report thing for a second. So we get an injury report Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Friday is the designations. I'm not sure if I said that or not. Will Snead be full go, or will he be in a snap count? Don't know. I mean, he played in Kansas City, so I asked him about that. He's very familiar with playing in Denver. They played in Denver yearly, obviously. And so, how many defensive snaps are the Titans playing? If they're on the field a ton, is it an issue for him more so than with other guys? I don't know that he was held back conditioning wise. He was held back football wise. But I can't pretend to know. Born to Run or Born in the USA? Born to Run, but Born in the USA is fantastic. There's a new version of the song Born in the USA that just came out, because they're doing Electric Nebraska stuff now in conjunction with the movie. They were initially doing Born in the USA for Nebraska. So it's pretty cool. Michael says, this just seems like a really tough first game road trip for the Titans. I don't really see a path to victory in Denver. Neither do I. But listen, I say this constantly. The number one thing the NFL has going for it, the number one reason it's the most popular thing in America, is unpredictability, right? If the Titans were to win in Denver on Sunday, they're the second biggest dogs of the weekend. Who was the biggest? I think it might have been Dallas last night. Dallas played pretty well and had a chance to win that game. It would not be like an unbelievable miracle for the Titans to win this game. Things are unknown. Crazy things happen. And that's why the league is awesome, right? That's why I love the NFL. There are going to be surprises. I went to pick my playoff teams, right? It's very easy. It's too easy to pick last year's division winners. Very tempting. I picked a lot of last year's division winners. Going to be wrong. I couldn't find the ones, I had to find some crazy wild card in the AFC. Very hard. I picked New England. I looked at New England's schedule and I saw a lot of games I think they can win. Am I convinced New England's going to be a playoff team? No. But there are playoff teams that come out of nowhere every single year. I had to find one. Had to pick a flyer. Super Bowl teams, pretty predictable. I really like Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay's got a good team. I think Baker Mayfield's a good quarterback. Maybe they end up being a little bit old this year. I like Tampa Bay and I like Atlanta. Happen to be two teams I saw up close with the Titans this year, but I like both teams. I think one of them is going to sweep the two games against the other two teams in the division who suck. the Saints and Carolina. There's 4 automatic wins. I think the rest of the schedule manageable, maybe. I picked Tampa Bay to win the Super Bowl. Some people would give me shit. Look, something crazy happens along the way. It's the NFL. Brian Callahan, best thing he's done this week. Best thing he's done this week is right here. Watch.
But it's just like anything else. We got to go prove it. We got to go prove it. We're going to find out. And then now all that's left to go is to go do it and prove it.
Prove it. Got to prove it. Got to prove it. Got to prove it. Asked him again about it today. Gave a longer answer that I'm going to put on top of that video when I send that video out. I hope that's a big video in the Titans community. He's not pretending that anything is established. He's not pretending that they have anything figured out. And that's fantastic because they don't. They don't. They're not pretending that they have anything figured out because they don't. Now, they better have some stuff figured out. They got to look better than last year. They got to have something established, right? They've got to be able to stop the run, say, or they've got to be able to have a short passing game that twice a game they can string together some stuff and find enough plays to get down the field and have Cam Ward lead a scoring drive. Now that'll get you to 14, and they got to get beyond 17, which is the number that they've been stuck on for too long, right? But they got to have a couple things they can count on. Can you count on Pollard? Can you count on Ridley? Can you count on stopping the run? What is it? Got to prove something. I don't know if you prove it on Sunday. Got to prove something in the first month, some kind of identity element, something. Prove something. Prove you have some kind of attitude. Prove that Cam's capable of certain things being reliable. I'm going to prove to you that VIP play is the best place to bet online. It absolutely is. It's a premier betting experience where everybody plays like a VIP, where everybody's treated like a VIP. If you go and use Paul TN as your code when you initially sign up, you get $150 instead of $100 when you make your first $5 bet. It's a sweet deal. If you want to go bigger than that, sign up for a year at paulkuharsky.com, $81, and I will give you a code for VIP play that will give you bet insurance for your first bet up to $1,000. Incredible deal. Doesn't have to be $1,000, $750, $500, $250, you name it. It's an incredible offer, though. Whatever your number is, you win that bet, your account's stocked. You lose it, and no skin off your back. Here are my 3 picks that I'm going to bet at VIP play. I just told you. Excuse me, I picked New England to squeak in as the last wild card in the AFC. By the way, I think the 7th wild card, the 7th spot in the playoffs is just a terrible idea. It's a bad team on both sides. And it's going to be a bad team in the AFC, whether it's New England or somebody else. Mike Vrabel's a slow starter, though. They've had a slow camp. A lot of people sitting, just like in Tennessee. Has a history of not being ready for the first game. And I've got Las Vegas getting 2.5 at New England. I'll take that. Las Vegas plus 2.5 at New England's my first pick. Jaguars minus 3.5 at home versus Carolina. Excuse me. Boy, I wish I had that water. So Vegas plus 2.5. Jacksonville minus 3.5 at home. Versus Carolina. I just think Carolina's horrible. I see nothing to get excited about there. I know they kind of turned things at the end last year and salvaged things. I'm not a believer. And Chicago, +1 at home versus Minnesota. So many weapons for Caleb Williams. These are all first year head coaches. Pete Carroll's hard to call him a first-time head coach. But then Liam Cohn and your favorite coordinator from the Lions coaching in Chicago. I like these 3 games. Las Vegas plus 2.5 at New England. Jacksonville minus 3.5 at home against Carolina. Chicago This is Monday night. +1 at home versus Minnesota. Take those or whatever you've got. Head over to VIP Play. Download the app and get to work over there. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and over in Tennessee to bet. Draymond Jones is an attitude guy. I like his attitude. I don't know how it's going to translate to how he plays. It's pretty windy out here. My screen's bobbling around. Hope you're not getting seasick. I like Draymond Jones' attitude. I like the way he talks. I don't know if it's going to translate to the way he plays. Look, the Titans are bigger on the edge. That's why on defense, if I'm hanging my hat on one thing with Tennessee Titans, it's that they'll do better stopping the run. Now, usually you do better stopping the run to force people to pass. The thing with the Titans is I don't know if I want to force people to pass. Force people to pass. You've got no pass rush. You've got no pass rush to pick you apart. But I think you got to get them into that situation and then take your chances and see what you can do. Got to blitz and stuff. But here's Draymond Jones kind of on the Titans' attitude when it comes to pass rushing with this new crop, if you will.
Excuse my language a little bit, but just being physical as an MF, and just setting those edges, being violent with our hands, being violent with our pad level, with our get off, knocking dudes back so we can create some disadvantages on the against the offense.
I like him, and I like that he uses language, but I don't know if you need to excuse your language in order to say MF. Like if you said what MF stood for, you need to excuse your language. But if you're using the abbreviation MF, I don't know that you need to pre-apologize. I appreciate the guy. I like the way he talks. I hope he plays well. I hope they set the edge well. I just feel this inherent contradiction. Like we're going to set the edge well. We're going to force people to pass. And then when we force people to pass, they're going to just beat the hell out of us by passing. If that's the case, it's just like such a unfortunate, like circles of hell. Do I see Kaiser White playing any quality snaps on Sunday? I mean, I don't know if you're calling him up on Sunday. If you're going to have Barton, Williams, Gray, and the kid from the Vikings up, Mousy, how many inside linebackers are you going to have up? Jihad Ward is a very soft-spoken guy, kind of opposite personality of Draymond Jones, who we just heard from there. I spoke to him, and he's very kind of soft-spoken and reserved. But I think he's got the same kind of play personality, maybe as Draymond. And I think they like him a lot. I think he's got a chance to help them. Callahan is getting another year, Adam says, unless we're 0-8. I think that's probably right. Guitar says, I believe the rumor was that the front office wanted to fire Callahan, but Amy didn't want to go that far after having fired Rand Carthon already. I don't know if that's exactly the way it was. Then she says, he says, Amy needs to have courage to do it midseason. As stupid as it sounds, she has to communicate to the fans that she's ready to turn the final page of a terrible chapter. I don't know that she has to communicate anything to the fans. I mean, she doesn't communicate with the fans at all right now, and things are going fine. I mean, ticket sales for the new building, by all accounts, are going fine. Look, this more recent report, the most recent report that was a Jeremy Fowler, Teron Davenport combination, said that they considered firing Callahan when everything went down after the season. It's 3-14. They consider firing everybody. I mean, it's a big revelation that they considered firing Callahan. I think after that season, you consider absolutely everything. And they, I think, pretty wisely decided not to fire Callahan. It's just too much turnover. You got to make sure the guy's not good before you let him go. And unless you have an automatic alternative, the best alternative to Brian Callahan last year was Mike Vrabel. You got to be honest. In the market, who was the best coach available last year? Mike Vrabel. Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson, a year before, semi-comparable guy to Ben Johnson was Brian Callahan. I'm not saying that. The league was saying that. Yeah, he didn't have the same play calling experience. But there have been offensive coaches hired around the league who didn't have play calling experience, but were around a lot of good offensive coaches, a lot of good quarterbacks who've been hired and have had success. So, I just think it's too early to bail. And now you already have the quarterback, Cam Ward, saying, you can't. I want some stability in my life now. Look, I moved around, Incarnate Word, Washington State, Miami. It'd really be nice to be here with these guys, learning together and developing together and getting this thing done together. Now, if he changes his mind on these guys and has private conversation with Amy and changes course on that, I think it'd be a pretty dramatic change, first off. If he decides 6 weeks in, these guys don't have it, they don't know what they're doing, that'd be one thing. But barring a big change of heart from him in that regard, unless things go totally to shit this year, I think it'd be crazy for them to lean in a direction where they want change. Lean in a direction where they want change. Talk to somebody during camp time. Said, and you've heard this kind of thing before, kids learning Spanish 1 this year. If you change it, then next year he learns Italian 1. And you change it again, he's learning Portuguese 1. And at the end of 3 years, he doesn't speak any of the languages fluently. But if you stick with it, he's got Spanish 1, Spanish 2, Spanish 3, and in 3 years, he's fluent. And that's saying something. Would they move on from Denard? I mean, if the defense isn't good this year, how much do we think it's Denard's fault? What do we think a top-flight defensive coordinator could do with Draymond Jones, Arden Key, Femi Oladejo, and Jihad Ward? What do we think? I mean, I know we're sick of hearing that. I know we're sick of hearing it's the personnel. But I don't know what you could be expected to do with that. Nick says Denard is good at his job. Leave Denard alone. I mean, I think in the same way that you want to see Callahan make progress with Ward as the number one thing to see. You want to see growth from Femi. You want to see You want to see Barton be strong. You want to see his second inside linebacker grow. You want to see the corners. I think Denard Wilson did great work with the corners last year. Daryl Baker doesn't look like the same guy now, but do players like that emerge? Adam asked how much do players consider who the coordinator is when it is in free agency. Is the money equal? Because what they consider first and foremost is the money. If the O-line isn't good, do they fire Bill? They're not firing Bill without firing Brian. Not firing Bill without firing Brian. Got like 2 more minutes here. Get in your last best question. Adam's gut says they'll be middle of the road on defense this year. I think if they're middle of the road on defense, that's pretty damn good, given the talent they have. We're talking yards, we're talking points. If they're middle of the road on points allowed on defense this year, I mean, I think they can make stride on points allowed just by not giving the ball up. I think offense and special teams can help them get towards middle of the road on defense by not turning the ball over and giving the defense, hey guys, get on the field. A sudden change. The opponent's at the 35-yard line. Hey guys, come on the field. The opponent's at the 17-yard line. John Gruden is not next in line. It's not a Tennessee Titans move. Where does Denver rank as a visiting stadium for me? It's a nice trip. It's a nice stadium. It's nothing great. I'm not like fired up about going to Denver. A bunch of us going to the Rockies game. I have to be feeling better to go. Is Io Manor a true number 2 today? A 4th round draft pick, a true number 2 on opening day? No. What kind of season would Tony have to get another contract? Tony's under contract for 3 years. They can get out of it, I think, for like $2 million. But he's not getting another contract. Well, say it's an old stadium in Denver. I mean, it's about the same age as Nissan Stadium. It's certainly has held up better. I don't know what kind of modifications they've made to it. A top flight defensive coordinator would have to manufacture pressure with blitzing linebackers, cornerbacks, and safeties. Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to manufacture pressure. But even manufacturing pressure, then your back end has to hold up. And do they have the talent in the back end to hold up? If they don't, is that on him? I mean, at some point, it's also about the talent. It's also about the talent. Hey, I appreciate everybody coming in. You guys have been good. We'll see what we could do to settle in on a time for the week. Come join me from the press box in Denver on Sunday evening. I look forward to talking about what we see unfold on this game that we have been waiting for forever. And I hope for your sake, we see some tangible results from the Titans, whether they result in a win or not, some tangible stuff. And hey, maybe they spring a surprise for you. I'll tell you one more thing. On our way out, I'll tell you one more thing.
But it's just like anything else, we got to go prove it. We got to go prove it. We're going to find out. And then now all that's left to go is to go do it and prove it.
Let's see him prove something. Don't block the box. Be sure to lock your locks. I really appreciate you.